Probably because we teach so much corporate yoga, people ask us a lot about stretches to help with RSI and also just neck pain and headaches and the kinds of things that happen when you spend a lot of time in the hunch pose. Here are some we've shared more or less with you before and one that's probably new. So we start with the new one. Come to hands and knees, and if you're at your desk, you can actually just do the elbow part of this. It's not quite as effective, but it'll work. But let's do the real thing today. So you're on hands and knees. And you do need a fairly soft surface under your knees and your elbows, so your yoga mat might be good. And plant your thigh bones directly under your hips. And then plant your elbows directly under your shoulders, which you really want a vertical arm there. So you don't want your arms coming in towards your midline. You don't want them too far forward or too far back. And then you want to line up your forearms. You're on hands and knees. Now you're going to put your elbows down, turn your palms face up, and you want your forearms to also be parallel. So you don't want your forearms to be coming in towards your midline either, which will happen if the muscles of your forearms and hands are tight. So try to get as much of a parallel line there as you can. The wrist crease will be parallel to the short end of your yoga mat, and your forearms will be parallel to the long sides of your yoga mat. Now splay your fingers enthusiastically. You can channel glee here and try and press. So you turn your palms face up and try and press your fingernails into the ground. So really splaying your fingers so you get a really good stretch in the palm of your hand. And you might even be able to get your thumbs down, although that tends to take a bit more time. If you are managing that, then you also see if you can press your wrists into the floor. All of this without overly tensing your neck and without sagging your ribs towards the ground, or worse yet, kind of collapsing your butt towards your heels. All of those things will make sure that you don't actually stretch the muscles we're targeting. So you're pressing your fingernails into the ground. You're splaying your fingers. Perhaps you're pressing your thumbs into the ground. Palms are facing up and they're stretching. And you're trying to get your wrists down as well. Relaxing the back of your neck. Elbows are down so that whole forearm is supporting you at the moment. Some people feel this stretch all the way up into the backs of their necks. I know I did when I first started doing it. I really hated it. But it's such a useful stretch. It really helps your mechanics to correct if you do spend a lot of time working finely with your hands. It's just a few more breaths. If it gets to the point where you just can't, you're allowed to come out. You don't have to wait for me to tell you. Otherwise, a few more breaths. Good work. And then you can sink your hips back toward your heels, toward a child pose if you like. You can shake your arms out. You can move your head around. Good. And if you do this every day or even several times during the day, you can do it at your desk with your elbows on your desk and then just doing the hand stretch with the palms face up. It will really help. It will really make a difference to the amount of pain you experience. I know from experience. And now come to sitting. And if you're sitting at a desk, then great, you're in position. But you can sit on the floor or whatever. And I'd like you to reach your right arm across your chest. Feel for your collarbone, and then just underneath your collarbone, I'd like you to press your fingers into your skin. So you're giving yourself a little bit of a tug there, and that'll start getting into your connective tissue. So you're just tugging the skin underneath your collarbone down, and then I'd like you to allow your right ear to come toward your right shoulder, and you can just pause there for a moment and breathe. And then turn your left arm bone out to the side with your elbow bent, tucked into your waist to start with, and your palms now facing up. And you can just start to move your head around gently so that you start to feel changes in the muscles in your neck. Maybe don't jerk your chin up to the ceiling, but any other movement's probably fine. Keep breathing. Make sure that you don't hunch your shoulders against the stretch. If your arms are not above shoulder height, your shoulders don't need to lift. And then when you find an interesting angle for your neck, so one where you're getting a stretch but you don't feel like you're choking yourself or something like that, you can keep your head still for a while and maybe start to move your arm around and move from your elbow. Maybe make some circles with your elbow. You could straighten your elbow a bit and bend, and be mindful that that's actually your elbow moving and you're not doing that thing where you shrug your shoulder up and pretend it's your elbow. And try not to collapse either side of your rib cage either. It's really tempting to kind of collapse towards your right side, the direction your head's going in. So try not to do that. Keep breathing. And it's okay to feel a fairly strong stretch here. A lot of people do. You want to keep your shoulders relaxed. Again, if your arms are lifting overhead, then your shoulder blades will lift. But when your arms are down like they are now, your shoulder blades don't need to be lifting. Very good. One more breath. And then very gently dip your chin to center, lift it to neutral. Let go of the left side of your chest, let your arm drop, and just notice how you feel. So you might find that one side of your neck feels longer than the other. Let's fix that. So taking your left hand now, feeling for your right collarbones, the bony bits across your chest there, and just underneath your collarbone, press your fingers into your skin so that you start to allow the connective tissue to stretch out a bit there. And then dip your left ear toward your left shoulder. And you can then turn your right arm bone out to the side. Your elbow can stay quite tucked into your waist for the time being. And you just start to move your head around. Now, if you happen to be right hand dominant as I am, this side might give you more sensation. If you are left handed, well, probably you've done the uncomfortable side already. And just move your head around like we did on the other side. Make sure you're breathing, and again, be really mindful that you're not hunching your shoulders up against the stretch or letting your ribs collapse off to your left. When you find an interesting angle for your neck, one that's a stretch but not torturous, then keep your head still and start to move your arm around. So you can make some circles with your elbow. I like to circle my elbow backwards, but you can play around with what feels useful for you. And then perhaps you can start to straighten your elbow away from your body a bit. And again, not hunching your shoulder up and, conflating that with being an elbow movement, but just moving at the elbow. Then perhaps hold that position for a bit where you're getting a useful stretch, and breathe. And this is one you can do through the day, and I suggest you do. You won't even look all that silly when you do it. Good. One more breath. And then release your chin down to center. Release your arms. You can shrug and roll your shoulders a bit if you like, and notice how you feel. And the last thing that really helps everything, sort of neck, shoulders, wrists, all of it, is to ramp your head backwards. All you do here is you can continue to sit, be in your normal posture, and notice how far forward your head is. You can just feel with your hand if you like. And then just put a finger on your chin and reverse your chin backwards as though you're trying to make a double chin. Just backwards. So you're not tucking your chin towards your chest. You're not doing anything weird with the angle of your head. You're just backing it up. And if you habitually do carry your head a little too far forward, the skin in the front of your neck will be a bit stretched, and you will find that there's a little bit of extra skin there. So what you're doing is lengthening the back of your neck. So let's try that a few more times. Release to your normal posture. Maybe if you need it, the finger comes onto your chin and you back that chin up. We call it head ramping. And then I'd just like you to try and stay there in the ramped position. Relax your arms a little and breathe. And you might find that the muscles in your neck and shoulders are actually a little too short for this to be comfortable. And that's fine, and then you can release. But if you practice this a lot, you will develop the habit of carrying your head a bit further back, which is useful because then your bones can hold your head up instead of your muscles. And given how heavy heads are, that's a really good thing. So let's do that once more. Just release forward and then ramp back. And try to relax into that so that your muscles are lengthening and they're just allowing your bones to hold your head up. Nice work. And maybe we'll keep our heads ramped while I say goodbye and namaste.